So welcome everyone, welcome to this dream time of the runes. And I've been using runes for, oh God, so many years I can't really recount. The first experience of runes I had was I was about 8 and my sister, who was into astrology and tarot, and I looked at tarot and kind of meddled around with it a bit, but it was just pretty pictures, and I read the book and did a few readings, but they didn't really mean anything because I didn't have that life experience behind it. And my sister kind of knew that I was into that sort of stuff, so she bought me this little bag of clay tiles. That's what I thought they were at the time, little tiles with pretty pictures on them, and it was by Ralph Goldblum. So those of you who know about Ralph Goldblum, that's usually your first experience of getting into the runes. And he does this wonderful thing of putting the blank rune in the, for the unknown. Bit controversial, his stuff, in terms of runes and runology, but it's a really good starting point if you've not ever touched runes before and you're curious. Then Rolf Goldblum is, if that's his name, then yeah, he's a really, really good introduction. But since then, I've gone on and I've accrued life experience, and I've used the runes in various situations for myself and other people. And so a bit of that I want to bring tonight, and hopefully we'll have some deeper insights. Excuse me. And I've got a couple of exercises to do tonight in this talk. And also we're going to touch upon things like, stock meanings. We're going to touch upon things like the magical elements, a bit of rune binding. As you can appreciate, there's so much that we could talk about. Hopefully there'll be a little bit of everything for everyone. So, as I say, welcome to the Dream Times of the Runes. Welcome to the Bone House. This is the training wing of Adigan, my company, or the company that I caretake for, should I say. And we're coming together into the dream time. So I want to try to approach this subject with the right brain, to open up those kind of intuitive side of what we're talking about, what we're looking about. We can't get away from the fact that there are stock meanings and there's some kind of left brain stuff. But we're not just looking at the runes as in trying to study them tonight. We're going to, and obviously it's a big talk in a big subject. You can't study the runes in an hour and a half, 2 hours. But we're going to try to journey into them as well, or at least journey into one of them. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, I'd like to just set the intention, but a little bit about myself first, for those of you who don't know me. There I am on the Malvern Hills, just up the road from where I live. And, I've been out there in the lovely age of 50 something. And so I've held down professional jobs and whatnot. But I've got a professional background in teaching, hold management qualifications as well. I've worked for 20 odd years in further and higher education. That's in the UK. So those people joining us from abroad, then I'm talking about the UK system here. I'm a formally trained shamanic practitioner. Now, when I say that, it's not just something that I got one day and decided that I'd go and study shamanism. I've been working as a shamanic practitioner without the title or without the certification for many years. And I've been embedded within the Norse mythology generally all my life, but more so in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And it's an ever growing interest. So I don't have all the answers. I don't have all of I'm not a sage on the stage here. I'm just sharing with you my experience of where I am and where I've come from, and something that you may or may not know. I'm an internationally qualified therapist in many different modalities. And I'm also, the other side of me is an academic side. So I am an independent researcher. I've studied up to PhD level. Don't have a PhD at the moment, but I've studied up to it. And my focus in the academic circle is chronic illness. And But the more that I've sat with it, the more that I've sat with my journey, the more that I'm realizing there's this connection between Norse mythology, mythologies in general, the way that we are in the world, our stories that we tell, and chronic illness itself. And I'm still trying to unpick that at the moment. And that's my research. That's the things that keep me off the street. So, and I'm caretaker of the Elders of Adigan. There's the web link, and I'm founder of the training wing that goes with that, the Bonehouse Academy. So, first of all, I'd like to just set an intention. So, if you'd like to, you can either keep your eyes open, or you can close your eyes, or you can mute your camera, or whatever. And I just want to put a call out there to the gods and the goddesses and the spirits of the ancestors. So, let's get ready to journey. So hear me, ye powers of the 9 worlds. Hear me, gods and goddesses, ancient ones who breathe shape into the stars. Hear me, spirit of stone and stream, root and branch, wolf and raven. Hear me, keeper of the hidden paths. We stand now at the threshold between the waking and the dreaming, between the time and the timeless, between Asgard and Helheim. We call upon the Gallows Lord, the one-eyed, blue eye, who won the runes through sacrifice and wisdom, and we ask him to watch over us. We call upon the Lady of Seidr, mistress of magic and fate, to take our hand as lots are cast before the fire tonight. And we call upon Heimdall, whose ear is attuned to the mysteries and the destinies unseen, and ask for him to watch over us as we weave the tapestry. And we call upon the dwarves of Svartalheim, masters of craft. And we call upon the elves of Alfheim, dancers of light and song. And we call upon the Jotnar, giants, the wild ones whose strength shapes mountains and rivers. And we call upon the ancestors, those whose bones come from the mists of time and watch as they shape the world around us and the foundations of this earth. And we ask for all of these to come and guide us tonight. From Niflheim's mist to Muspelheim's flames, from the Asgard high halls to Helheim's silent fields, we summon all of those who honour the ancient ways and wish to work with us. So come now, spirits, and stand witness. Come now, DreamTime, and open your gates. May the mystery of the runes rise before us like stars on the deep night. And may the waters of Mimir's well stand still and stir and churn and reveal what is hidden for us. May the breath of Yggdrasil, the mighty world tree, move through our hearts. We do not come to command, but to listen, remember, and dream anew. By word and will, by blood and breath, by thought and thread, let it be so. Hail the runes, hail the DreamTime, hail. So we raise a metaphorical and symbolic mead horn. If you have a drink, you may wish to raise that to the gods and goddesses and all the beings of the 9 worlds. So let's start. So let's just think about the origins of the runes. I mean, there's 2 ways we can go, isn't there? There's the one that I learned very early on in my rune career. And that was that these things are historical and they're carved in stone and they're they're the writing system. Didn't learn the mystery stuff until later. And so you've got this whole branch of, just like Egyptology, you've got runeology and runologists, and they're kind of into the esoteric fields. And surprise, surprise, everybody seems to argue. But there's lots and lots of conjecture, lots and lots of thought, and lots of opinions around the historical origins of rune writing. But what everybody does tend to agree on is that runes came from an old Italic alphabet. And this alphabet, as all writing, kind of moved through the world, and bits were taken and shapes were changed and mutated. So the thought is, and we're talking the historical perspective now, the thought is that there's an old Italic alphabet already in use in the Mediterranean around the 1st century. Because don't forget, we're talking about the Vikings and the Norse people, two very different things, the Germanics people and the Vikings. They're of the Germanic people. But don't forget, after we've got a lot of writing come through the world, we're talking about the Vikings definitely about 800 CE, and so we're talking about writing scripts and writing alphabets that were about the 1st century, and this is where they think from the South Germanic tribes it came up and influenced their writing. We'll return to this thought later, because I've got an exercise to do with it as well. So earlier Germanic sacred symbols, though, have been found, or should I say, sacred symbols have been found in caves, in rock art petroglyphs, which they think might have come into these scripts and changed the Italic alphabet to incorporate the old mystical symbols. And so we can see this kind of ebb and flow from a historical point of view, from an anthropological and ethnographical and archaeological and all the ologies that we want to throw at it. We can see that, it's quite a plausible explanation, really. And so we think that in the academy, in the people who study these in universities and whatnot, we think that the transmission of writing from Southern Europe to Northern Europe took place via Germanic warbands. So, we go and invade somewhere as a Northern Germanic tribe, and then we see that there's some kind of symbols. We think, well, I don't know what they are, but they might be quite magical. Maybe I can harness those. We come back and we start using them for writing in the longer term. But that, for me, really deadens the runes. And if you're into runes, it's like, wow, how deadened is that? That it's just this movement of patterns of things, of writing. I mean, don't forget, writing had been around for quite a while at that point. But we're talking about Germanic tribes who are kind of oral at that point, or are we? And that's something I will return to in due course. The other side is something that I started to get into after I kind of used the runes, read the runes, learned some stock meanings, didn't really see how they applied to me, put them down, went away to university, come back, started to get into some myths. And I've always been into kind of myths. But then if you're the kind of person like I was, that all of a sudden the Norse myths are going to find you, the runes are going to want to work with you. And for me, it's that, that there's that guy, and I've gone blank, so I'm going to ask Louise to interject here. The guy who says about the work being claimed.
Ramanujan.
Thank you.
Robert Ramanujan.
Robert Ramanujan says that you are claimed by the work. You are claimed, and the runes definitely claimed me. I dabbled with them, put them down, gained some life experience, and then they claimed me. And this is where we find the character of Odin. And we're not going to look at Odin tonight in terms of, is he an archetype? Is he a real god? Is he something else? We're not going to do that. We're just going to take, because it's just a talk and it's an hour and a half with some extra. We're going to go from the fact that whatever Odin is to you, that is absolutely fine. I'm not here to convince anybody else. To me, he's a real person in a different dimension that I travel to when I shamanically travel. But he's there, and I can go and talk to him and petition him and work with him, as are all the gods and the goddesses. If you have a different view, that's absolutely fine. It's cool. But when we start thinking in terms of the mythic, there's something that starts working from within you. It's that, we understand about Odin's sacrifice, and therefore we look in our own lives. And I can certainly relate to the times when, I've been hung up on a tree. I've been impaled. I've sacrificed. And from that, I glean moments of information, moments of sacredness. And that's really what we're talking about with the mythic view of Odin. And so, when we talk about this view, we have to come back to, and again, this is a poem that first acted upon me 25, 30 years ago now in Ralph Goldblum's book. So I just like to read this and let it resonate within our bone memory. I know that I hung on a windy tree for all the 9 nights, wounded by a spear and given to Odin, myself to myself. On that tree, of which no one knows the kind of root it runs from. They blessed me with neither bread nor horn. I peered down. I took up runes. Screaming, I took them. I fell back from there. 9 mighty songs I learned from the famous son of Bolthorg, father of Besla. And I got a drink from the precious mead poured from Urdarerir. Then I began to produce seed and be fertile and grow and feel well. Word sought word from my word. Deed sought deed from my deed. Runes, you will find them readable staves, very great staves, very stiff staves, which Fimbula coloured and great powers created, and Hoptere of the ruling powers carved. I mean, man, that puts any sacrifice or initiation that I've gone through into pales. But we're talking about this symbol on the left, on the right here of your screen. I hope it's on the right, everything's not flipped. This symbol is the web of weird, and it's something I drew. I've drawn several of them. But we find the concept of the web of weird. We find this expresses the world tree, the knots, all the intersections of the 9 worlds. And sorry, the staves of the 9 worlds and the knots are where all the intersections of those 9 worlds do actually happen. And within those, it's, Odin hung on that tree, hung on Yggdrasil, hung on the web of weird. And because he sacrificed and initiated on that tree, he glimpsed the reality behind the reality. And so, I guess it's akin to the Native American sun dance, where I think it's that one where they hang by hooks through the flesh, and they hang there for days, and they go into this altered state. And for anybody who's wondering there, I've put the reference of there's different versions of them, different translations, but this one is the Edward Pettit dual translation in Old Icelandic, I think, or Old Norse, and he also does it a one-for-one translation, page in Icelandic, page or Norse, and page in English, so you can read along. And it's free actually to download. It's a public document, so you might want to check that out. Edward Pettit, and I've given you just the reference there. Just look it up, and that stands 138 to 142. Now, when I first encountered this poem, I didn't encounter the second bit on the right. Bloom only looks at the translation on the left, or the bit on the left.